Alright, hello and welcome to another photo book critique. If you haven't watched one of these before, me, the photographer, is going to critique one of these photo books. Now in the past, I've usually recorded some newer photo books, but this time I'm going to visit a classic, and it's this one. Now if you're not too sure what this is actually Matsui Rena's first photo book, which just looking online I think is better than the second one, so I'm going to talk about this one in particular. Now Matsui Rena is one of my favorite members. I mean, she was in AKB, SKE, Nogizaka, and back to SKE, but overall she's been a great idol and person in general. So with this critique, I'm going to talk about the good and the bad of this photo book. Whether it's the flow of the book, whether it's the photos that are bad, aren't focused, bad color, composition, lighting, posing, all of that I'm going to take into account, and I'm going to highlight some of these images for you. So without further ado, let's start looking through the photo book and see what we find. First of all, can I say this cover right here is like super good. I mean, this is like super conceptual, and the red contrasts with the blue, and like it's a nice little color flow that's going on. It's not complementary colors by any means, but the colors really match well together. And plus the whole idea of her being in a fishbowl with water, and then the dress and everything flowing makes it all look real, and great Photoshop, great photographer. And then on the inside cover, we see right here, we see some close-ups of the eyes and of the hands. Nothing much to say about these shots, just see the very large opening they had in the aperture, and nothing much. It's a very close, and I wish the aperture was in fact a little bit higher so we can see all the detail in the eyes. Also, I want to talk about this that came with the photo book. It's a mini poster. I'm not sure if every single one comes with the same one. These are actually pretty good. This one I'm not too fond of. The posing's pretty good, but the lighting could be better. And this one's a generally good photo with posing and lighting. Now, I always say in a portfolio or like in a photo book, the first shot is very important. Now, this shot right here, I don't see as very good to open this up. I mean, looking at the rest of the book, this photo really, it looks kind of like a filler photo, to be honest. Nothing's essentially wrong with it other than being overexposed, but it's very boring in the sense that it could have been a better image. Maybe starting with an image like this one in the front, since after all, you really don't need this connected page right here. If you would have just started maybe with this image right here, I think it would have started more impactful and left a better impression. Now I move on to this image. Now, as we know, she's someone who loves anime, loves manga, and we see her right here at a bookstore. And I'm pretty sure this is the manga section of the bookstore, and it's her working as a book teller. Now, this is super good, which more photo books should do, having them like play a character or be in a position of something other than themselves. Because, I mean, photo books are meant to be about themselves, but also we want to see them in situations what they're not used to, and see them in imaginations they want to be in themselves. And I imagine she secretly wants to kind of work at a bookstore. Now we have this image right here. Now, this is a very fun image of her like getting overpowered by all the books. This one's more about raw emotion than it is about the photography, because the lighting is alright. It's nothing to like glow over or anything, but it's very like calm and very like flat enough for the bookstore, because I imagine some bookstores would have bad lighting, but I think they managed themselves very nicely in this one. Although one thing that did bother me a little is that the dark greens over here on the legs and the super bright highlights outside. One way you could overcome that is with lights. Another way you could overcome that is maybe with a reflector, maybe like a silver reflector. That way the outside isn't as dark as it is on the inside, especially on Rena, since she's kind of the subject of the photo. Now this one here, I just have to say right off the bat, is one of my favorite images I've seen in this photo book. I mean, this sets a super good mood. The yellow lighting really fits well with the green background, and plus the color of the clothes really go with the color of the overall image, and her taking up the trash just really sets this mood with the color. And overall, this color is really good. I wish they would have maybe cut this right here, that way it looked like a warehouse a little. I mean, it is outside because of this obviously, but if this was cut off, then it would have seemed like a warehouse shot. And her taking out the trash in a warehouse wearing that with all the colors would have been super good. This little blue distracts me a little, but with this contrast, with this little blue, I think it isn't as distracting as it would have been by itself. Then move on to this one right here. Now this is a classic lighting when you do outdoor lighting with photography. It's really You see an alley where there's an opening, you stay in the shade on the very edge of the shade, and then you take the picture with all the light blasting through, and it leaves this really flat and very appealing lighting. And once again, she's with the garbage bag, so it continues from the page before where she had the garbage bag, which is really nice. Now, I want to talk about this one right here. Now, this one could have been better. I know what they were trying to go for. They were trying to go for that hair motion look, but I feel like this is a little bit too much hair motion. Maybe more in the front and less on the back side. Maybe it was the wind, maybe it was someone fanning him, but I feel like from the front it would have looked a little bit better than from the back and the side. Also, a little thing that bothers me is this major highlight right here. I mean, right here it's all white. There's no detail in there at all. Now, this combination of pages right here, super good. Now we go from this shot that's super complicated. We have all these details from the train, and then we have it zoomed in all the way to her from a really wide angle. While in contrast, we have this one right here where it's zoomed into her face and it's just concentrating on her face, and the only distraction is maybe this right here, but that's not too much distraction. Not like over here. It's a very nice contrast of the zoomed out to zoomed in, where she's posing right here and she's posing right here, and then all this leads you in and this kind of leads you in. It's really nice and very contrast in terms of composition. And plus we know how much she loves trains. So now we have this one. Now this isn't one of the good ones, and the reason why I say that is because nothing is in focus in this photo. It might seem like the eye is in focus, but no, the eye is not in focus. It's this very, very little edge right there, and that's no good because then nothing is in focus really. I mean, that kind of beats the purpose of having a photo that's not in focus when it's intentionally supposed to be in focus. I'm pretty sure the photographer didn't sit there and think, oh, let me take this picture, but let me make it out of focus for no reason at all. Now I move on to this one. Now I like the concept of this one a lot, but I feel like it could have been executed a little bit better. Maybe by shining a light, maybe like simulating the TV, like right here, like maybe like they're already going with the purple tone over here, so make it like a green light or maybe a purple light to combine with it, and make it a little bit stronger than the background lights, because then it looks like a TV. But right here it doesn't look like a TV. It just, because of the remote, implies that it's a TV. If she didn't have the remote, you wouldn't know what she was looking at. This one right here, super good image. I mean, the face she has says so much. The hair being wet and everything with the purple tones around her and on her are really good. I'm a big fan of colored lighting, and I think this colored lighting image, I think it's coming from the fish tank, is really good. I mean, it's not grainy enough where it distracts me, and I feel like overall this is a really clean image that looks fine. Get it? Fine, grain. All you photographers out know the joke. Now this image right here, I have to say, is pretty bad lighting. I mean, this half-tone face I'm not a big fan of. I'm not too sure if it was intentional, because on the next image we have some pretty nice lighting, and that kind of contradicts what this one is showing. When you show lighting this good, it kind of makes this one look even worse. I mean, this lighting is kind of like the lighting I have right now on my face. It's very butterfly lighting, and it's a little bit to the side, but I feel like compared to this one, I mean, this one blows it out of the water. Get it? Water, because she's in the water. Why am I so bad at jokes? Now we have these series of images. Now I have no idea why they're in the photo book. I'm sure they love the concept. The producers were like, yeah, let's include that. But I feel like the execution wasn't that good. I mean, look at this. This is like all blurry. This one's all blurry. I mean, even going to these, they're still blurry. Now I have to say, this one isn't a bad idea, but I feel like this face should have gone in this photo, because with the reflection, it makes it look really cool with the lighting right there. But I feel like with the better position of the face, this image would have came out better. Now this image really leaves me curious, because this could either be a snapshot that someone took, like a fan took of her while she was at the airport, or it could be a still from a movie. It's a very confusing type of lighting. It's a very cinematic type of lighting, where it uses the natural light that's in the building and it just amplifies it a little. And I think this photographer did a good job of making it seem like a little bit more natural than the nasty lighting usually gets from this type of overhead ceiling lighting. I feel like these images were a little wasted. I feel like these images could have come out way better than they were executed. This one for sure, like the tip of the elbow is in focus. I mean, come on. There's nothing in focus there, only the tip of the elbow, but I mean, who's concentrating on the tip of elbows? And this one is again out of focus. You see it's right here that's in focus, and not her face that's in focus. Really a shame. These could have been so good. I feel like maybe this one, if it was more zoomed out, it could have been better. And this one, if it was in focus, maybe less distracting of trees, would have been solid. I feel like in these photo books, you always have to include a shot like this. I've noticed that being a trend a lot. It's probably like one of the staples of photo books to have like pretending to sleep or laying down while in this kind of clothing. In this one, I don't know what kind of expression she was going for, but this looks like she's like half awake and like a little hungover, which I guess would kind of correlate with the image before where it looked like she was out on the town at night. Now these two have pretty good lighting in them. I don't think there's nothing too distracting in this image. I just wish the posing was a little better. I mean, her face is turned towards the light, but I feel like her body, I don't know, it's a little weird. It's kind of like that, but the posing could have been better in these. The lighting was good enough where it could have come out to be a good picture. These images are generally hard to pull off. I feel like you need a very good time of day to pull these off, like maybe sunset or sunrise. This image looks like it could have been taken maybe like 10ish o'clock. I can't be positive on that because the light is coming off in one direction, but if it was coming from the same direction where the sun was, then this image would have came out way different than how this is shown. Now this image, I'm actually a pretty big fan of. The reason is because of two things. One is because the posing, I mean, it's a very interesting concept, very funny concept. I feel like Matsui Rena just came up with this and was like, hey, let's do this. Or she just did it without asking and then they took a picture of it. Second is the color. When you have this purple versus this green, very contrast, complementary colors. I mean, they're pretty much opposite on the color wheel, especially right here where in the shadows there's purple, in the highlights is that green nasty tint from the light, and I feel like in this it really helps a lot with that contrast right there. And I feel like these could have been a little better. Maybe if it wasn't on an overcast day, I feel like this would have been good if it was like on a sunny day, because with the sunny day the light would have been shining through and giving her a nice butterfly kind of like flat lighting to her. Now this one I'm actually a kind of big fan of. The hair swooping down and the wind just making the clothes turn and making the facial expression and the aperture and the focus and the scale of everything. This is a very good image in my book. This is something I want to do where there's something overpowering in the background and then something small but yet a little fragile, but yet you know is going to overcome the situation. This is what this photo is telling me. It's super good. Just wish this little thing right here wasn't there. I always have to say something, don't I? And then we have her carrying bananas, running around. This one isn't too bad. I feel like if the photographer stepped back like maybe like a couple inches to show the arm, then I feel like this would have been solid. Maybe turning her body a little bit more towards the wall. Now this right here is actually pretty interesting. I'm actually a fan of this like non-posing type of posing, where it's right here, it looks like you're relaxing but you're really posing because you're making the legs straight and everything, and it's a very appealing type of image with a somber kind of feeling to it. It kind of reminds me like of a cover album where, you know, it's that type of mood that the cover is trying to present. All you need is like a random item over here to like make it a little bit like juxtaposition. Now this expression right here is something I want to mention. This is very much a man, I don't want to be here kind of expression, which I think is a bit interesting coming from Matsui Rena. And usually in these bowling places, I've noticed that there's not the greatest lighting. Like if you look at the video shoots people do, they usually come with lights themselves because the ample lighting that's in there is not good enough. You need some extra boosts, some extra well-positioned lights in order to make it a little bit appealing. And right here you can see he tried his best while putting her face up towards the lights, making it a little better. This is another interesting one. I feel like this one could have been a little better, maybe by cleaning it up in post a little, but I feel like the thing that throws it off the most is the lighting, of course. If the lighting was better in this image, this would have been an A+ image. And speaking of lighting, we actually have a pretty good lighting setup over here. You can see some of the light is hitting her back here, while it's all bam, just going towards her face. It's causing this soft light from the overcast day that's making the light wrap all around her, which is super good. And I especially like how the clouds kind of go with the color of her sweater, making it kind of all blend in a little, but yet being so distinct that it kind of sticks out. This one straight up looks like something from like a horror movie. This is a great image. With the remote there, I wish it was like a cell phone instead, or like a house phone. I feel like that would have like made it like more creepy kind of vibe instead of being like a TV where she's like just staring at the TV from the room. And the reason what makes it so creepy is two things. One is this angle they're looking at. I mean, this is kind of a straight on angle right here, but the angle they're doing is coming from down here, going like that. And that's what makes her look so tall compared to everything else, and really adds that like monstrous feel to it. But another thing that adds the monster feel is this monster lighting right here. Now some people call this monster lighting because it makes you look like a monster from a horror movie, you know, those old horror movies from Frankenstein and Dracula and all that. And this type of lighting is underlighting. I mean, some people could do really amazing stuff with this and make stuff look beautiful, but generally it's monster lighting because it's usually for fill, not for main lights, and it makes things look a little bit gross and creepy, which is what this lighting is doing to her right now. And plus the angle, it makes it look like from a horror movie. Okay, this one, are you joking me? I mean, I know the other ones were blurry and out of focus, but this one is just like on a whole nother level. I mean, there's no excuse for including this one. I bet there was way better ones you could have included. Now these black and white images are really good. I feel like the contrast is super great in these. Whoever did the post on these is absolutely great. The darks are just where they need to be. There's not anything blown out, but yet the highlights look really nice. I mean, whoever did this post is super good. And I mean, this kind of looks like fake rain because it's all going to the side and it's only like up here and down here. It kind of looks like a hose or something. But I mean, if it were all like that, I feel like this image could have came out super good. I mean, if you're already doing some posts for the black and whites, I mean, you might as well do 2 shots of this and add like rain over here or something. As long as you're adding to it and not manipulating the image, it's fine to use Photoshop. And this one right here, this one's actually pretty good. I feel like the clear umbrella really adds to it. If it was a white umbrella or some other color, it wouldn't be as strong. But since it's clear and you see all the insides of it, I feel like it really adds to it. Plus the contrast of the whites with the black hair with the white umbrella, really good. This one looks so good. I mean, this hair light right here just adds like to it. I mean, this side lighting, but yet it being enough to wrap around the whole face is super good. Again, the white with the black, but yet the white with the hair light just adds to it so much. I'm glad they added a hair light. I need a hair light because as you see, it's black and then black over there. I just need to buy another light and another stand. Getting that YouTube money of $1, which reminds me, share with your friends this photo critique if you're enjoying it, and make sure I could buy another photo book to do another critique, or buy another light for my hair lights. This image right here is very refreshing. I feel like it was a windy day for sure. I'm a big fan of the sun being the backlight and the face being well exposed by, you know, raising the aperture or other stuff like that. I think it was aperture because as you see right here, the building is actually a little blurry, but the hair isn't totally tack sharp, which means that the shutter speed wasn't raised. And I also say you finish off with your second best image, and this one's actually pretty alright. It's not the second best image of the photo book, but it's not too bad. Maybe raise your shutter speed a little, that way it isn't so blurry. But one thing I will admit I like is that this isn't exactly on the rule of thirds. It's a little bit lower, and making her like the joint right here kind of on rule of thirds. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I feel like in this case it actually kind of works. I say including this image along with this white border actually adds to it. Thanks to the white border, this is more complementary to the eye than it would be if it wasn't with the white border. So that has been the photo book critique of Matsui Rena's first photo book. Be sure to let me know down in the comments below if you want me to critique another photo book. You recommend me what you think are the best photo books, you know, from AKB48 to Keyakizaka, no, Keyakizaka doesn't have any, Nogizaka, or anything in between. Be sure to like the video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date when I make new videos. I make bi-weekly videos, maybe random stuff. Last time I got pied in the face, ate hot sauce, and do photo books, and picked favorite members. So many different things I do bi-weekly. Be sure to check them out by subscribing. And also I do weekly news videos, which you guys can check out if you want to keep up to date with the news and not having to struggle and try to read Japanese like I do. And I can't even read Japanese, so that'll show you how much I know. So yes, thank you all for watching. Be sure to share with your friends and let them know that, I don't know, that I'm here. Thanks for watching. Be sure to watch for the next one.